All right, so we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym in the name of Yahuah HaMashiach this day. Pick it up in John 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you have eternal life. And they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that come from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So praise be to Yahuah on this day. Let me see what Psalms that it is. We're not dealing directly with a psalm, but we're going to deal with a couple Psalms. I want you to go get Psalms chapter 2 and Psalms 24. Shalom, man. Yes, sir. Psalms 2 and 1. Hey, don't get up there playing. Are we understood? Shalom, bro. Psalms 2 and 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahuah and against his anointed, saying, pause. Now, shalom, man. Y'all know about this. Y'all know this is the conspiring of the people to kill Mashiach. But see, now we're going to have to take a pause for the cause and unite another Psalms and knock it out of the way just to do it, because that's what the trip that we on. We're dealing with the book of Psalms. Come to Psalms 83, because it said the kings of the earth take counsel together. Let's look at counsel. Y'all should know it. But if you don't, it's your side. So that means that these people have sat together and sit in a conclave. Do y'all know who knows what a conclave is? Oh, all you educated people don't know what a conclave is. What were these white folks teaching y'all? You went to college too? I'm talking about your friend over there. Oh, you ain't go to college. Oh, you didn't finish? What college you went to? Huh? Now, any other time, you talk like a nigga in the street. Yes, you. Yeah, we all be in the room by yourself, barking and squawking. Don't talk like this. No, I'm just outside. What's the name of it? City Tech. Oh, you went to ITT Tech? I'm just messing with you. We know y'all got them all them weird colleges in New York, all over the place. Was it inside of a brownstone? Why you ain't finished? Being what? Oh, you were being a whore. That's what a harlot is, baby. You were focusing on penis. That's what you were doing. You were focusing on penis and marijuana. Yes, I'm the best one. Well, Sharonda put in that a conclave is a confederacy. You know what a confederacy is, don't you? Don't tell me the South in the Civil War. What is a confederacy? Huh? That's not a confederacy. I say, don't tell me that.
You just said it.
Who knows what a confederacy is by definition? Oh, you raising your hand, Sade? Well, the school systems that y'all went to failed y'all greatly. I ain't get past the 12th grade. I'm lying, but nevertheless. You don't know what a confederacy is? You don't know what one is either?
No, I mean, I may if I think about it. No,
Lord have mercy.
You said a sentence. I probably did.
I just did. It was a confederacy.
That's not a complete sentence.
That is a complete sentence.
What was
There's not no what. It's telling you in that.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
It was a confederacy. They are a confederacy. Huh?
I don't know the context of that sentence. I don't know.
What you say, Shayla?
Like a whole, I don't know.
Yes, a group of people who conspire together.
I don't know.
Let me show it to you in the book. It is. I'm gonna read it for you. Isaiah chapter 8.
Yeah. Something like that.
That y'all should be able to.
She said it a few times.
I asked you a couple times, Shayla, what did you say? Nobody heard you. That's why I said, what did you say?
Sorry, Shayla.
I definitely asked 3-4 times, Shayla, what did you say?
You ain't got it like that. I'm sorry, you ain't got it like that, bro. I'm sorry.
Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 9. That's why Saran mentioned a meeting, one accord. Kira mentioned one accord, an alliance. The Confederacy of the United States of America should have gave it away. It was an alliance of states that joined together and say, hell no, we won't go. And if you thought the Civil War was about slavery, I got some beach land in the middle of the Mojave Desert to say. Because them white folks ain't cared nothing about you being a slave. They ain't fight that war to get your freedom. Isaiah 8 and 9. Associate yourselves, O you people, and you shall be broken in pieces, and give ear. All you of far countries, gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Take counsel together, and it shall come to nothing. Speak the word, and it shall not stand. Alahym is with us. For Yahuah spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say you not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy, neither fear you their fear, nor be afraid. Now we'll give you the Hebrew word for confederacy, just so you know. But you can tell that this is a group of people who done linked up together to do something that they ought not. Oh, I gotta find this on here weird. Yeah, you got Kashur. That is a conspiracy, a treason, an unlawful alliance. Kuf, Shan, and Raj, the consumption of the last Adam. That's what they're conspiring. That's why the next verse in Isaiah 8 say, sanctify Yahuah of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Now come over here to 1 Peter chapter 4 for that. Four and 12. Jeremiah Bird, where's my money? Don't make a fool of me, bro. Where's my money? You got money for fake mustaches. Where's my money? You got till 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, you understand me? Don't make a fool of me, bro. Where's my money? Where's my money? How much you got? 10 what? Well, 10 monies. 1 Peter 4 and 12. Beloved, think it not a strange thing concerning you the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice in as much as you are partakers of Mashiach's suffering, that when his esteem shall be revealed, you may be glad also with exceeding joy. If you be reproached for the name of Mashiach, blessed are you. For the ruach of esteem and of Alahym rest upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is esteemed. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Yet if any man suffer as a Yahudim, let him not be ashamed, but let him esteem Alahym on this behalf. So look at the difference what he's telling you. Don't be, it's one thing to suffer for the word. It's another thing because you suffering because you kill or you hate your brother in your heart, which make you a murderer. And you hate your brother in your heart without a cause. That you steal or that, look at what he said, a busybody. Now, he just didn't mention no women. He said he was talking to men about men not being a busybody. Now you always wonder why men don't be knowing what other men got going on, because it's not my business. I don't care what he's doing. If he wanted me to know, he would tell me. Men don't ask prying questions. So, brother, what you been doing in your life? If he wanted me to know, he would have told me. It's a very feminine attribute for men to be knowing everything going on. And that's what y'all do. And guess what? You know why y'all busybodies? What that show you had me looking at? Them. All them white ladies ain't had nothing to do. And what was they doing? Involved in other. That's why. What does the text say about a woman not being a what? And you know why she don't need to be no busybody? Because her husband need to give her something to do. If she doing something, she ain't got no time to be worrying about what sister such and such doing. And you sitting at the house talking about, oh, girl, you heard me. She got a problem. Put that nigga to work. You better put her somewhere. She better be scrubbing toilets all day, mopping floors. Look at you. You look at you. Don't worry, we're gonna get you a husband so you won't be no busybody. You know what I'm talking about? That what happened. Y'all know I ain't lying. When y'all ain't got nothing to do, your mind get idle. You give a woman nothing to do, I guarantee you chaos ain't too far behind. Sad part is, y'all know I ain't lying. I ain't saying that to be funny. I'm saying that because it's just honest. Y'all know that. We ain't even got to be in the word. Y'all know some of y'all female friends. Ain't got to be all of them. But y'all know y'all got one or two. She ain't got nothing going on, and she know everything about everything. And not even just regular people business. She knows celebrity people, but know them people. You know them people. Whole back life story. Talking to your other homegirl like you know them people. Oh, you seen such and such on Love and Basketball? Oh, you seen this here? That's sad. She ain't got nothing to do. You keep her with something to do. She ain't got no time to be worried about all that. She gonna be worried about, baby, I got that money for you. Baby, I took care of this for you. It ain't good because it just lead to chaos. That's why he tell you not to do it. Let me give you this Greek word for busybody. A busybody. I can't pronounce all this here, but it's allo trade sake host. That is someone who takes the supervision of affairs pertaining to others and in no wise to himself. A meddler in other men's affairs. You see how sad it is? A man who is completely overwhelmed with other people's business with no care of his own. No care of his own. Back to Psalms 83. I don't even think I ever got to Psalms 83. But we around that right now, though. This ain't the keynote verse anyway. Nothing, man. Keep not silence, O Alahym. Hold not your shalom. Be not still, O Alahym. For your enemies make atonement, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. Atonement, if you don't remember, because we done talked about it before. This is Hamah. This is someone who is seeking to cause a commotion. Let's look and see how they cause a commotion. That's the fruit man. Looking like this here. I'm gonna steal this nigga fruit. Don't pull it out, please. Matthew 26, real quick. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 1. Look at how they try to play it. Say your enemies make a commotion. Came to pass when Yahushua had finished all these things, he said unto his disciples, you know that after 2 days is the feast over the Passover, and the Son of Man is to be betrayed, to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest who was called Caiaphas. And they consulted that they might take Yahushua by subtlety and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. So look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sure that things don't go flip out the way it fall back on them. Now let's swing over here to John 18. Because remember what he's telling you, your enemies are making atonement. We're going to talk about this before this twofold, because you already seen that in that Revelation 17. But we're going to do both of them. Because it's still tied to Psalm 2. But what they did in the end, in the beginning, we're going to do in the end. The kings of the earth consulted together to come slam, and they turned around, they did it in his time on the earth, and they're going to do it on his return. You know what the sad part is? People don't believe this book, but they always talking about the elite this and the elite. Y'all done heard people who acknowledge that, who don't say they don't even believe in the book, but acknowledge the fact that the elite are preparing to fight Yahuah upon her. Man, these people weirdos out here, man. That's why you can't take none of them seriously. John chapter 18, verse 28. Then they led Yahuah from Capheus unto the hall of judgment, and it was early. And they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. Pilate went out unto them and said, what accusation bring you? And Pilate of them, take you him and judge him according to your law. Yahuah therefore said unto him, it is not lawful for us to put any man to death. And of course, who recalls why Pilate said, I know why y'all brought him around this corner? Pilate said, I know what you brought him here for. What did he say? For envy. Y'all know what Proverbs say about envy, right? Who can stand before it? Nevertheless, let's continue in Psalms 83. He said, they have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones. When we look at consulted, it is your odds. And that is the purpose and devise a plan or to conspire. And that takes us back to the what? Don't follow these people because they say a confederacy. You just read in Matthew 26 what they're conspiring. Now let's pause and let's add the back end with Revelation 17 along with it. Yeah, they conspired. Revelation 17 and 9. Ain't nobody saying
How you saying, bro?
Revelation 17 and 9. Here is the mind which have wisdom, 7 heads of 7 mountains on which the woman sit. There are 7 kings now befallen. One is, the other is not yet come. And when he come, he must continue a short space. The beast that was and is not. He is the 8th and is of the 7 and go into perdition. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and should give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb. The Lamb shall overcome them. For he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that with him are called, chosen, and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which you saw where the horse sit are peoples and multitudes, nations, and tongues. The 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Alahym have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and agree to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Alahym should be fulfilled. See, this goes back to the point what I was telling you last night. It's always a conspiracy. And people only conspire because you're saying things that they do not like. See, now we live in a thing, what they call it, cancel culture and all this stuff you got going on. See, we live in a society where people cannot disagree with you. See, people get highly offended when you don't agree with them. Now, it's a dude I know, he was giving a great point. He was like, black women love sissies. How many of y'all used to hang with sissies? Look at Michael. I hung with about 3. You used to hang with sissies? Man, your voice got deep when you said that. Never liked them. No, that was crazy.
I feel like that's because you had the daddy. Yeah, I know. If you got a real man in the house.
Any of y'all were hanging with sissies?
Turn you off. Oh yeah.
Oh, you were hanging with sissies?
Most times, girl, mama.
If you, one, you still hanging with a sidewalk sissy, baby.
Sidewalk. They quit in public.
They quit in public. You were hanging with flamboyant punks?
Sidewalk. If he is sits in the daylight. Yeah, he ain't undercover, brother.
Oh, you was in dance.
Yeah, sidewalk sit there.
Well, it don't matter if you still was. I mean, ain't nothing wrong if you like to cut a rug, but clearly you like to hang with the niggas who want that Putin thing. I know it is. And they was your homeboys, wasn't it? So you were going to in cahoots with them niggas.
Oh, yeah. You don't be that stamp them hitting. No, I never. You'll be right there. I know still got a problem.
Dang, you was out there with all the sidewalks and you was like this here, ain't nobody talk to me yet. They all want what you want.
Yeah.
How can you have a good time in a den of iniquity?
She was in the living room. They better go to the den.
I'm just messing with you. Because I used to pick up people from in cahoots when I was Uber. And man, them sis was something up. Well, one of the pump, I thought I was going to have to roll that nigga out the camera. You know what I'm saying? Because this nigga like this here, he talking about he got some cocaine. I'm like, but I don't care what you got. Y'all niggas gay.
Cameron seen some good days.
You want that bump?
Yeah, we was on bump. Nigga want nothing to do with no sidewalk sissy. You know what I'm saying? But nah, but his point was this here, back to reality though. Well, that was reality, but it's an unfortunate reality. He was like, but then they'll turn around and say Kevin Samuels is gay. But you hang with punks and you defend punks. So which one is it? But this is the aspect of, especially with women, because I'm telling you, niggas put capes on. You know what I'm saying? They become Batman, they become Superman, they become Green Lantern, they become whoever you want them to be. They become superheroes for busted and disgusted hoes. I heard a nigga had a doggone show this morning. That junk was hilarious. That nigga say the 3 S's. Sluts, single mothers, and swirlers. That nigga say you're a slut in your 20s, you have a child in your 20s, don't nobody want you in your 40s, now you want a white man. He said that is the step for the modern woman. Found that to be hilarious. But the point of the matter was this. Did y'all have a lot of friends that encouraged you to be a hoe? No, because he was talking about that black girls make a hoe phase into a lifestyle. Well, white girls' whole phase kind of get clicked off at about 26 because they know they need to get married. A white girl was encouraging you to be a hoe. No, there's no acting like a hoe. You either are a hoe or you're not. No, he was saying that mainly. Don't roll your eyes because you was around here being hot, fast in the tail. What about you, Sade? You had somebody encouraging you to be a hoe? You had people, huh? Yeah, I mean, yeah. You had some friends that was encouraging you to be a hoe. So they wasn't telling you to have no hot girl summer and weigh out your options. Are they good friends? Are they really? What make them a good friend? Huh? Were they there for you when they told you better not let that man put his penis in you and get pregnant and you ain't got your life together? So they wasn't too good of a friend because you ain't telling what you were doing. So some of them did know. And they ain't tell you to think about your long-term future. So they wasn't that good of a friend. That what you talking about, a good friend. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to be specific. Don't you think if you had a good friend that tell you to think about your long-term future? How many of y'all had somebody they were looking at you like, hey boy, you better stop messing with that hoe before you get a pregnant boy. Don't dudes tell their homeboys that when they see you messing with a scallywag? Because the last thing you want to be at 22 with a baby from a dragon, a serpent, devil, if you will. How many of y'all got friends that got kids? I'm talking about men who got friends. You got friends that got kids from a woman that he wouldn't dare speak her name because she might pop up like Candyman. That I'm talking about who look sad and depressed every day that they got a baby from this one. Yeah. And I guarantee you, was somebody who told him, well, you better leave that girl alone, boy, and protect yourself. But what he did, nah, she all good, bro. That booty good, man. You know, look at her, but she fine. See, women don't necessarily do that. You ain't gonna be like, girl, you need to leave him alone. Enjoy yourself. Be free and have fun. Shayla, you have friends that encourage you to be a hoe? Well, did you? Same difference. They encourage you to be a hoe? Deidre, I already know you said your friends encourage you to be a hoe. But you see the difference on that is? And do you ever see that the I know you got friends who in their late 20s and 30s and they still hoeing. I said late 20s and early 30s, still hoeing. But the reason being is, I mentioned that for a reason. The reason because nobody tells them, hey, you need to cut that off and go find you a husband. Oh, I do. Yeah, what do you know? You know, you've been married, you know, that's the sad part. What do you know? You've been married. You're out here getting gangbanged, and you're telling the person who has security, what does she know about getting security? How stupid is that? She ain't in the struggle. No, but that's when you have to pause and really use your logical brain on that type of response. A married woman is telling you, baby, stop getting banged and get serious and get you a husband. And your response is, what do you know about getting a husband? Ma'am, I have a husband. Say what now? Oh, no. You know what that is? That's a whore. And when I say a whore, meaning somebody who you want the benefit of a husband, but you don't want the duty and responsibility of a wife. Because guess what? Life is not supposed to be an endless party. How you in your 30s talking about you still want to have fun? Like, that makes no sense. You sound like a teenager. Nobody should be in the late 20s and early 30s and be consumed with the aspect of wanting to have fun. It means you have a childlike brain and you're not fit for human compatibility. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would a man even risk giving you his seed and all you talking about is, oh, I don't want to be no wife. That's going to be boring. I got to come home. You already coming home cooking and cleaning, you idiotic fool. Dang, Sean said he had one of his clients and he asked her, was she preparing herself to be a wife? And she said, no, I'd rather be a good girlfriend. You know what the sad part is? Them same women who don't want to be a wife will let a nigga make her a mother. And the sad part is that she looks at being a mother as better than being a wife when being a mother is of even greater responsibility. That's the sad state of affairs that we live in this earth. Let's continue on and back in Psalms 83. It ain't right. That's why the birth rate going down. Nobody want to put their seed in none of these Baptist holes, and then they get mad talking about the men ain't nothing. Well, shoot, clearly the women can't be too much of nothing because the men don't want to marry you. They don't want to put no babies in you. But then you got women out here, they vagina graveyards. The teenage birth rate. I mean, the teenage birth rate should go down, but they saying the birth rate all the way across the board going down. Yeah, it is. Yeah, teenage birth rate going down. Oh, that's real. Like this generation, they being born in the Psalms 83 and 4. Binary home. These people say it's 33 different genders, man. Right. They born two mamas. They going up finding a partner. These niggas out here with two daddies. One got a penis, but she dressed up like a dude. Talking about that's Daddy James. Her name's Jamila. My hand's greasy. Psalms 83 and 4. Give it to the strong man. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. In the name of Yasharal may be in no more remembrance. Shoot, my hand's greasy. Shoot, I definitely put my hands in my hair. That doggone hair milk on them. I definitely don't know. Now they said a confederate against you. Let's look and see who. The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites, Moab, Hagrites, Ebal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur is joined with them, and they have hope in the children of Lot. Selah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, the Jabon, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor, and they became as the dung of the earth. Make their nobles like Orab and Zeb, and yeah, all the princes of Zebah and Zalmunna. Let me ask y'all a question. Who are all those people that he just named? What happened to the Midianites? What happened to Sisera and Jabon? What happened to them people? Who knows?
That nigga got jabbed in the stomach.
Yeah, Sisera is the one who got nailed in the head by the young lady. Jael.
Yeah, Jael.
Jael, she known.
Sound like something.
We just read that this week. You know, something she asked me. We just read that this week.
I peed in that.
We just read that this week, right? Because it's relevant. She had asked me why. Because in the book it said they was cool. I guess pretty much Sisera fled to the Kenite house because he said during that time there was peace between Sisera and the house.
Come on to Judges chapter 5, y'all.
Peace. Why baby smashed him?
Oh, because he had to die.
You feel what I'm saying?
Hold on.
Thank you.
It would have set up. It would have set up.
It made sense.
Judges chapter 4, excuse me. Verse 14. Matter of fact, make it 12.
He clearly thought it was safe haven.
He did. He thought wrong. He thought wrong. Now, if you don't know, Sisera was afflicting the children of Yasharal at this time. Make it Judges 4 and 7. It said, I will draw unto you to the river of Kishon, Sisera, the captain of Tabban's army with chariots in his multitude, and I will deliver them into your hand. Barak said unto her, if you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, then I will not go. She said, I will surely go with you, notwithstanding the journey that you shall take shall not be for your honor. For Yahuah shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. Deborah arose and went to Barak to Kadesh. So Deborah is a prophetess. Deborah let it be known, you can go up for this battle, but the esteem is going to go to a woman to kill this man. Let's continue. Barak called Zebulun, Naphtali to Kadesh. He went up to 10,000 men at his feet. Deborah went up with him. Ebal the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenites and pitched his tents unto the plains of Zanian, which is by Kadesh. What is that letting you know? This Midianites say, I don't fool with them people. Y'all should know that if he's the father-in-law, if he's from the father-in-law of Moses, what type of people was Moses' father-in-law?
Midianite.
He was a Midianite. That boy said, I'm getting down with them brews. I'm straight.
My Lord,
they showed Sisera that Barak, the son of Abinon, was gone up to Mount Tabor. Sisera gathered together, all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, all the people that were with him from Harshash of the Gentiles unto the river Kishon. Deborah said unto Barak, up, for this is the day which Yahuah have delivered Sisera into your hand. Is not Yahuah gone out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. Yahuah discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his hosts with the hedge of the sword before Barak. So Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on foot. So this is how Sisera gets done. When you get to discomfited, that is hamam, and that is to confuse or to vex. So who's the one vexing Sisera's army? Yahuah. We go back to what we were talking about last night. Just sit still and watch Yahuah work. But Barak pushed after the chariots and after the host under Hashereth of the Gentiles, and all the hosts of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Hey, cut it out, because you're being rude and disrespectful. Now, if you want to sit over there and whine like somebody who dwells in a pamper, you can go in the bathroom and pee in your pamper. Are you a pamper wearer? Then don't whine like a pamper wearer. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite. So this place was between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and of the house of Heber, the Kenite. Let's look at the lady's name. And Yael means mountain goat. So he got caught up with the mountain goat. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said unto him, Turn in, my lord. Turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto the tent, she covered him with the mantle. He said unto her, Give me, I pray you, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. And she said unto her, Stand at the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man do come and inquire of you, and say, Is there any man here? That you shall say, No. Yael, the Hebrew's wife, took a nail of the tent, took a hammer in her hand, went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it unto the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, I will show you the man whom you seek. And when she came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead with a nail in his temples. Now you look at temples, that's Rakah, that's the side of the head. You could go ahead, you got Rosh, Kuf, and Hay. Rosh, Kuf, and Hay. What you out here for, Abigail?
Oh, the light of the highest.
Said Kuf or Kaf?
Kuf. Rosh, Kuf, and Hay.
I'll probably say I say the final sacrifice of the
Mm-hmm. You can see the last Adam. All of these things gonna point you to something that coming to the end. Now, of course, you're taking that a woman that took nails and driven them into his temple. In this instance, in regard, you're looking at it as that woman, because I read it last night. By means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. So you see on the reverse side,
the goats.
the mountain goat.
Goats. Goats kid.
The woman that came and nailed this king and killed him to death as the people pursued. Now, of course, they say Barak them take him out, but this also shows you the instance. If your enemy be thirsty, give him drink. If he be hungry, he said, if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. If he be hungry, feed him. In doing so, you're heaping coals of fire on his head. See, that's that godliness. See, y'all talk that nigga stuff. That's what I be telling you. That nigga stuff don't get you nowhere. You would have to really sit back and look at it. What has nigga teaching really benefited you in the outcomes when you applied it? All it got you was more stress, more chaos, more destruction, no anything. Nothing prosperous or beneficial come from nigga thinking. You know what I'm saying? But we like to keep it on because we feel it's a rite of passage. You know what I'm saying? Your first thing you say, don't let nobody disrespect you. You can check people who are disrespecting you without ruining opportunities and situations and actually bringing dishonor and on yourself. What I nigga kept saying something the other day, that nigga say, he said, you know something how black women conduct themselves in modern society as if they're above reproach. But let me ask you this question. I'm mentioning it now because when you take this in the text, especially when you're dealing with brews, when you talk about Israelites, do you notice with most brews online, you can't say nothing negative about an Israelite period or you'll get checked? As if niggas is above reproach, but in the same breath, they'll say the people confused and lost. You have to pay attention to people who do not like people to point out the fact that a group of people's behavior is not acceptable. I listen to this nigga Umar Johnson go to talking about, I'm here to uplift the black woman, to stop her from the slander. There is no slander. Your daughter's a whore. You know what I'm saying? Uplifting a woman while she's a whore is not going to stop her from being a whore. Why do I say this? Because what does it say in the book of Hosea? He said, you separated with what? Adulteresses. He said, I won't punish you for it. Did he uplift you and say, Mother Queen Goddess? Oh, my great people who are so upright and just while they're worshiping other gods? Or did he tell you to your face you're a vile, rebellious, stiff-necked people from the moment that I knew you? So you have to pay attention. The book teaches you this. To not take heed to people who like to flatter you all the time. Anybody who's always coming to tell you how great you are, well, they don't care nothing about you. Especially if your behavior is not up to par. Most of y'all done went into them churches, and them churches told you how great you was, even though everybody in there was in the midst of all manner of iniquity. Nobody ever came and said, you know what, the behavior you're doing is not acceptable. I don't approve of this. So guess what happens when you walk out in the world and then somebody said, do that to you? I was telling somebody the other day, I said, and I done told y'all this before, you know, the number one thing that's young girls up, everybody in your family tell you how beautiful you are. And then guess what happened? You go out here in the world and the world tell you that you're not. Now you confused. That's why that old bald monkey looking hoe the other day could say she was beautiful as Beyonce. This hoe looked like Eddie Murphy with a football helmet on. See, I saw that nigga made a meme out of that. I don't know. That nigga actually posted it. Let's take that back. That nigga actually posted it. And say compare. Now this ain't to say, hey man, walk around here calling people ugly, but let's deal with reality. This the woman, boy. Look at this nigga, man. Y'all, you look at that woman. You look at that woman. Now that's not to say you walk around and you call her ugly, but I'm just being honest with you. Because if your daughter is not on that upper echelon of beauty, and you telling her that she is, that's what happens. She gonna run a nigga like you. Who gonna tell her, nah, baby, I'm straight? Why? Oh no, you ain't that pretty. Now her feelings hurt. Or they get the attitude that no matter what you say, they are that pretty, and then they can't get a husband. Yeah, because you've been telling her all her life how beautiful she is. You can tell her, yeah, that's my pretty little girl. But yeah, you better be careful now, because you know what's gonna happen when she step out that door. You know what happened when you step out that door? The world don't care nothing about what your people told you and taught you. That's what you can tell your son, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But if that nigga don't go out there and put in that work, boy, nobody don't care nothing about what you told him. Now, what I'm talking about is just the harsh reality of adulthood that every last one of us know. But you don't want to tell them churn. You want to lie to them. I put it to you this way. How many of y'all, your people told y'all that you were great and you could be anything you wanted to be as a child? I'm talking about young men. Your people told you stuff like that? Well, you could do anything, son. But did they tell you how much work you was going to have to put in? Did they tell you the sacrifices you was going to have to make? So they just told you a bunch of lies. So when you stepped out the door and you seen that nobody didn't hand you nothing because your mama told you were so great because you her boy and her favorite son, now you pissed off and upset because life ain't going the way you thought it was supposed to go. Because ain't nobody sit you down and tell you, son, don't nobody owe you nothing. Ain't nobody going to hand you nothing. Son, you're going to have to work for it. Son, you're going to take losses. Son, you're going to have to make sacrifices. Son, you're going to sweat. Son, you're going to bleed. Might shed a tear too. But just keep on going. It'll pay off for you, boy. Don't nobody tell you that. Or don't nobody tell you this unforgiving truth, that men have no value whatsoever and they have to build it. You step out the door, you feel like you got it, unless you got a little game in your hands. Because I tell you the other day, these niggas don't even get no hoes. And they be telling these niggas to run all this. Some niggas ain't had no problem getting women when they were broke. I told you, it's too many bad women out here messing with broke dudes. Have y'all heard stories of beautiful women talking about how they got a broke man? But all these dudes keep talking about broke men can't get no women, but yet that's all these hoes seem to buy.
But niggas who got money is most so like Kevin Samuels got more status. Like Kevin Samuels said, they gonna take a that's average with the right quality.
Indeed.
And let a baddie have a broke nigga.
And let the baddie have the broke man that she can take care of and dominate. She don't even think she already know he ain't got it.
Niggas who got money don't not accept
them. They're not choosing them. They will have sex with her, but they will not marry her. What a lot of women get confused at, I've been telling some women friends that I've known since childhood this. Just because a man will put his penis in you don't mean he fool with you. You know what I'm saying? Like the girl I used to know, she was like, he told me I was pretty so he could have sex with me. He doesn't like you. You don't know. And then guess what ends up happening? You come back, because I known her since she was a kid. Now you come back crying, why the nigga did you wrong? Because you don't listen. Because I already told you what it was. You know the worst thing? Let me ask y'all this question here, because I seen Lil Duval post this. I'm going to ask you ladies this here, because it's the same different with the word. Why would you ask advice from sinners or seek counsel from sinners about things of Yahuah? Let me ask you ladies a question. Did y'all get y'all worst advice about men from men or from women? Where you got your worst information from? Did you get it from women or did you get it from men? About how to deal with men. From women? I can't hear you. Think so what? You think so? It's your life. You should know. You guess? Are you ready to get the spotlight off you? What about you, Kalisha? You standing right here. You got your worst advice about men from women or other men? From your mama? So that means that was horrible information. Because we know your mama ain't right. What about you, Deidre? Oh, Deidre, that's what the man at the insurance. He said, Deidre. I said, I don't know how he could pronounce that. I just thought that was self-explanatory. Looking at that to pronounce that. Clearly not. Clearly not. Oh, okay. Sean White say women. I can't hear you. What you got for me, D? I can't hear you over Lil Joe over here. You got your worst advice about men from women or men?
Speak up, nigga.
What about you, Shayla? Huh? Women, what about you, Nisha? You guess it's your life. When we talking about advice, it ain't just like you saw somebody counsel, just stuff that women say about men, period, versus if you're talking to a man.
Terrible advice last night.
What did she tell you?
Oh, I don't want to repeat this.
What did she tell you? What did she say? What did she say?
Just about, like, she said how I be so tired. She was like, why am I taking watch this? Why? Just, it's a shared responsibility. Like, be tired. Why your husband can't be tired? I was like, yeah, but I do. She was just like, if now my daddy don't play, but she was like, if something I done been, something I done,
You know why she look at that? Because she's looking at it as a partnership. She probably views the marriage from a different perspective. Because see, the response I have with that, if it's a shared responsibility for me to wash these dishes, then it's gonna be a shared responsibility for you to pay these bills.
Well, that's what I told her. I was like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna go when Rena's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna tell you. So that's all I'm gonna tell you. Just sit down. Sit down.
What'd you say, Dan?
That's hundred.
What's that?
That's what I just did with my mama. Real partnership.
I mean, she just feel like my mama's like she's a servant mother. She just feel like why he can't do it? He got ladies fees like like tell me if you done my teacher. I'm like, yeah, but as a woman you're supposed to do that. The kids are ours my family. She's like, I mean, yeah, but it's this.
And then that's the modern thought process. So the modern thought, if you had that thought process, okay, they mind too. So I need you to mind and go get a job and kick half. But see, but if I say that, then you're gonna look at me like, no. Like we were talking about the other day. If anything, 70-30. Oh my God.
I mean, that's what I was telling her. She's like, well, if you go to work there, you can do it. And I'm like, well, I don't pay bills. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the same. And she's like, well, it is the same still because you're tired like you tired. So I mean, but
Of course, because her perspective looking at it as the tiredness he get from actually laboring to pay the bills is not equal to you're tired of being in the house. That's how she views it. Because the role of the man in this society, which is a reflection of the role of Alahym, is minimized. You're not really doing anything. You know what I'm talking about?
But I ain't like that. The way they do got it set up, but for it to be a 2-income household, like you get stuff done, like one income ain't doing it too much no more. So most women is working. It is a partnership. It is like,
no, but I mean, but if that's the case, you have to look at it like this: if you don't want a partnership, because the woman don't want to work, and she don't want to pay no bills. You know what I'm saying? That means that you would need to increase your income and not get a woman. You know what I'm saying?
It's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to build your kingdom and invite them to the family.
If that's the case.
Because that's supposed to be.
But see, that's the point. See, now if you don't want to pay bills, then we have to do it. Our parents have to do it. You're gonna have to bring me all the bread. You're gonna have to drop that off. Because if you're not gonna pay little things like your phone bill or some car insurance over here, then what the hell are you working for? So you can have some walk around money? Absolutely not. You bring it, you got to drop that off. Just like what them pimps tell them hoes, stick your hand in your panties and grab that knot, stick it in the car window and drop it like it's hot. That's what you're gonna have to do.
That's my favorite song.
You know what I'm saying? And that joint sound rough, but that joint is what that is, because at the end of the day, why are you pulling something in that's only going to benefit you? Because that's how most women in modern times look at it. That's my money, but your money is our money. Oh no, that's not what's happening over here. See, if you're pimping going on over here, that's my money. That doesn't mean I'm going to take your money and frivolously spend it.
Yeah, but pimping like that.
Yeah, that's mine though.
Pimping take care of the household. You get
Indeed.
done, it's a bet. You get done, it's
I buy your clothes, you get locked up, I buy you out.
Right.
I protect you, make sure the Johns don't get you.
What you say? You need bail, it's there.
It's there.
The house is
Taken care of.
Why they go to work?
Taken care of.
Why
No, we were talking about the other day with one of her friends. It should be, if you're going to do anything, if she's paying minor things, 20, 30% of the load, minor stuff, nothing major. You know what I'm talking about? That's not a big deal, because like you said, they did that on purpose. They got the woman out the household and caused hyperinflation for the purpose that it would be an aspect where the man could not singularly provide for the household alone. And if he did, he would have to make a substantial increase in revenue.
in the house, 16, 1700.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to make 3 times the rent. Most niggas ain't making 60, 70K.
No, most people are not. Most people are not. And we're not even talking about having kids. So they've done this intentionally. They did this intentionally to get the woman out of the household. Therefore, you have to put the kids in the system, and the kids end up being raised by the government. You know what I'm saying? This is intentional. And then, of course, now this is not all races, but it's mainly our people. Our women still looking for dudes to pay for everything. And most other races, they're not looking at their spouses like he got to pay for everything. And if I'm not paying for everything, I'm not going to disrespect him. That's why you see a lot of black women, they upset. Or you see a lot of them not getting married and say they holding out for the rich dude because they looking for somebody. You want to be traditional when it suits you. So if you want a traditional man, you have to be a traditional woman. If you're not going to be a traditional woman, you can't get a traditional man. But just like what you said, women give bad advice, which causes women not to have a man. Most women you know who lost their nigga, they lost their nigga from listening to their homegirls. Who can't keep a man or don't have one. Very rarely do women go talk to other men about how to deal with a man, because that man gonna let you know you've been had that conversation with that man and find out you was wrong, you was tripping, you need to go apologize and go back to your dude. Oh, that sounds like what it had to be with Yahuah, don't it? You was wrong. You need to go back to your husband. That's what the prophets told him. You was wrong. Go back to your husband. Psalms 83. You see how it all go together? I mean, I'm be honest with you. They mamas don't give them no advice. You know what I'm talking about? No, Eric was like, their mamas give them bad advice sometimes too. Sometimes, but a lot of times, their mama don't tell them nothing.
No, but to your question, yeah, most men and women get their advice
from women. I'm gonna tell you as a man, the last thing you need to listen to is a woman about how to deal with a woman. Don't you listen to no woman about nothing. Don't do it.
Default.
Don't do it.
Ain't no real niggas sitting niggas down for real.
No, don't listen to no woman about no woman. She gonna tell you wrong. She gonna tell you wrong. Your mama ain't gonna tell you how to deal with that woman. Judges 5, that's where we was at. Let me come over to Judges 5. We finished Judges 5.
Give her what she wants.
Give her what she wants.
You know,
that's what niggas say. That's what
every time I paint, whatever the wife. Wife happy, like that money in my pocket. It's what she.
I tell you right this, if I'm giving you this pipe, you gonna keep me right. You know what I'm talking about?
I woke up this morning, my wife didn't pack my things, so I'm doing good.
Judges 5 and 24. This man said, an old man told him, my wife ain't packed my things, I'm doing good. Lord have mercy.
I believe it. That's our parents' generation. 45, 55, 65-year-old niggas, how they all talk. Especially they mad right now.
Judges 5 and 24. Blessed above women. Judges 5 and 24. Blessed above women shall Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, be. Blessed shall she be above women in the tent. He asked water, she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in a lordly dish. She put her hand to the nail and her right hand to the workman's hammer. And the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head. And when she had pierced and stricken through his temples, at her feet he bowed. He fell. He laid down. At her feet he bowed. He fell where he bowed. And there he fell down. Now, what is that important? She put the nail through his head. He fell. He bowed down. Come over here to Revelation 3 and 9, if you would.
Sit down. Hey, come sit down. Stop getting up.
Then back to Psalms 83, Psalms 2, Deuteronomy 10. Cut the crap.
I don't care what I don't think they can hear you.
Huh?
I don't think they can hear you. Baby's crying.
They better listen close. Say, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan and say they are the Yahuah demon or not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come to worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you. See how I say she bowed down? He bowed down to her feet. That was giving you an inkling at the time coming. Because remember, in that Judges 5, she goes into detail about the coming of the Lord, or what she prophesied about. Are y'all familiar with that? Y'all remember that? Y'all gonna have to read that on your own time then. Come on back over here to Psalms 83. Hey, little girl, hush your mouth. Hush your mouth or get beat. So, of course, in that Psalms 83, it's talking about doing unto them those enemies, like your enemies got done in times past. And with the exception of Sisera, these were enemies that were destroyed before you came into the land. Y'all know that, right? The Midianites, King of Endor. That's giving you an inkling what will happen at the end. If your enemies get destroyed on your way into the land, just like you did the first time. Psalms 83 and 12, who said, let us take ourselves the houses of Alahym in possession. O my Alahym, make them like a wheel in a stubble before the wind, as the fire burn wood, and as the flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with your tempest, and make them afraid with your storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek your name, O Yahuah. Let them be confounded in trouble forever. Let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that you, whose name is Yahuah, are most high over all the earth. And again, this is him, those people that you read in Revelation 17, gathering themselves up to go to war so that they can be destroyed. Back to Psalms 2. We're in verse 2. The reason why I asked y'all that question again, like, who did you get your worst advice from? Because I guarantee you, once you told people you were starting to deal with the word, irregardless of what you told them the teaching was, they began to give you bad advice on how to serve Yahuah. bad advice, bad information. That's an instance of, would you go to a sinner or would you go to somebody godly to get counsel? Because a sinner ain't gonna never tell you do nothing in a godly fashion. That's not to say they can't tell you how to do something right. Because a sinner can tell you in certain situations the right thing to do. If you think a sinner can tell you to do the right thing in certain situations, you're foolish. But what they couldn't tell you is how to be godly, which is how to be what? Faithful. They couldn't give you information to cause you to be faithful to your husband. Faithful to Yahuah. They're not going to get that information. Because how would they know how to be faithful when they are harlots? They lay down with any god they come across. That's why I say you deal with the average woman. How can somebody, an average woman doesn't have a man. So how is she going to tell you how to interact with a man? The average person doesn't have a God. So how are they going to tell you how to interact with God? They're not going to be able to. They're going to give you information that's going to cause to put a wedge between you and your God. Just like the average woman is going to give you information that's going to put a wedge between you and your man. But see, they don't like to have that conversation because that means there's some accountability that has to be brought about. And that's an uncomfortable, harsh truth in reality. Let's continue. Psalms 2 and 2, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahuah and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sit in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet I have set my king upon my Kadesh hill of Zion. Do y'all remember the word for hill? Same word for mountain. It's hard. Hay and Raj. You can go ahead. Hay and Raj.
Hold the height.
Behold the high. Well, how is you going? If you beholding the highest upon his Kadesh mountain, he said his king there. Oh, let's look at son. Isaiah chapter 2. Hey, little boy. I'm on you. Watch your mouth, boy. Now I got your brain. Now you can't do nothing. Look at you. Now you want some sympathy and some care, but ain't no care. Isaiah 2 and 1. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Yehudah and Jerusalem. It shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Many people shall go and say, come you, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the Alahym of Jacob. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. Now, what we get into is a particular point that Yahuwah, that Yahushua is your king. And that why he is king of kings, Lord of lords, and God of gods. There is no one like him. There is no ruler like him. And if you would seek put it this way, if you wanted to please the king, would you speak to his servants or would you speak to his subjects? You would rather speak to his servants. You know why you would rather speak to his servants? Because his servants do the things needed to please him. See, subjects are people just subjected unto him. Anybody on the earth is subject to Yahuwah, but that don't mean that they serve him. Everybody on the earth is subject to him. Everybody don't serve him. See, that's why it's a difference. You'll have a woman, she knows she must be subject to a man, but she don't serve her man. So she wouldn't be the one to listen to. Because she ain't going to tell you nothing right. See, we're talking about harsh reality because people don't like to deal with, like I say, to being above reproach. You can't say something about black women. You can't say something about black people as a whole, about how we conduct ourselves, because what are they going to call you? You a coon. You this, you that. I'm supposed to walk around and tell you how great you are. But let me ask y'all this here. Have y'all ever had somebody who sung your praises all the time, even in the midst of stupidity? How did that really benefit you if you had somebody walk around and tell you how great you were, but your life was in shambles and not where it was supposed to be? Did you really appreciate them words, or did you like to continue in the delusion of lies? Everybody looking crazy. I guess ain't nobody tell you how great you are, or they just let you just float out here in life.
My great grandma.
You out here doing all type of stupid stuff. That's that boy that just ain't do nothing wrong. Do you see how negative that can be, especially on a young mind, by telling them that they are so great when their life is not in order? It emboldens them as they get older to settle in and being mediocre or being comfortable with being a failure and fighting people who are telling you that you're failing in life. See, being a failure is not about how much money you accrue. It's about the negative, the number of positive things that you are able to accomplish. The things that you're able to do that has not been detrimental to your development in life. You got women out here who got 4, 5 kids from 4, 5 different dudes and have the nerve to get upset if someone tells them, baby, you have failed in life. You have 5 different DNA sets that came out of your vagina. That's not success. You got men out here who got kids from 4, 5 different chicks sleeping on another chick's couch. Son, you have failed in life. You got dudes out here living off a woman. You already know what it is. But them niggas playing mad that dude at their house. You is a failure, boy. Don't you know if you get locked up, boy, you failed? You can't say you a success sitting in somebody's jailhouse, in somebody's prison. But I wouldn't care if you was working at McDonald's. If your wife at home was pleased and happy with your existence, you were raising your children in a decent fashion. If you ain't in the word to the best of your ability, your children love you and respect you. You have not failed in life. You may not be a financial success as far as society deems it, but you haven't failed in life.
Positive things can be said of your existence.
Positive things can be said about you. You have not failed. See, now we celebrate failure. That's the world we live in now. We celebrate failure. We celebrate people who say, yeah, I keep the commandments, but I sin sometimes, and we celebrate them. That's harsh reality right there, man. Back to Psalm chapter 2. Verse 7. I will declare the decree, Yahuah have said unto me, you are my son, this day have I begotten you. Ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron, you shall dash them with a potter's vessel, dash them into pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O you kings, be instructed, O you judges of the earth. Serve Yahuah with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Now we're looking at him being a king. I want you to come to Deuteronomy chapter 10 right now. Don't get up. You can come to Deuteronomy 10 and 12. See, one of the hardest things that we would sit back and you deal with, and don't get me wrong, because men get told these bold-faced lies too. They usually come from your mama. Your mama don't let you know that you could be better. Some of y'all knew the boy. You might have been the boy. My son can't do no wrong. You in school acting up. You getting in trouble, and your mama blaming the teachers and everybody else around you. Not my son. Don't you know the mamas who raised the not my sons? They sons always go to prison. Stay in prison. Stay bumming and slumming. Around here, that's the uncle still at grandma's house. He got to sneak women in his mama house at 45 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't deal with stuff like that. We don't like to talk about stuff like that. But why I'm mentioning all of these things is because we don't have the mind of the king. And if you say that you're going to be a king, you know how most white people like to talk, peace king. Ain't that what they like to do? Shalom king. That nigga ain't no king. That nigga's a pauper. What a pauper is, don't you? Michael, you don't know what a pauper is? A pauper. P-A-U-P-E-R. A pauper.
That's English. English.
That's old.
What's a popper then?
No,
No, that's not a person who played no flute.
not a piper. There's like a fairy tale, the prince and the pauper. The prince.
Yeah, the pop. He don't play no flute. A popper is a po nigga.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That was a servant player.
I knew it wasn't a flute player. I'm like, I've heard the fairy tale.
Yeah, a pauper is a poor man.
That's he well versed.
Oh yeah, now I gotta hit you what me and Fat Boy used to say when we was young. I'm a Renaissance man myself. That used to be our line. We were just nigga walking. I'm a Renaissance man myself. Y'all know what it is to be a Renaissance man, don't you? Golly. No, a Renaissance man is a man who has learned in various different arts.
Renaissance was a rebirth.
Rebirth. You know, he learned. You know what I'm saying? Renaissance man, they schooled in various arts. You know what I'm saying? Many things. I'm trained in the arts. That's what we used to say when we were just too. You know what I'm saying? That comes from Ghostface though. Ghostface said that on one of his songs. I'm trained in the arts. Then he said he was on degree number 3. I was on number 9. Deuteronomy 10, man, verse 12. Now, Yasharal, what do Yahuah your Alahym require of you? To fear Yahuah your Alahym, and to walk in his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahuah your Alahym with all your heart and with all your soul. To keep the commandments of Yahuah and his statutes, so I command you this day for your good. Behold, the heaven of heavens is Yahuah your Alahym, earth also, with all that therein is. Only Yahuah had delight in your fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahuah your Alahym is the Alahym of Alahym, a Lord of lords, a great Alahym, a mighty, a terrible, which regard not persons, nor take reward. What are we here for? Lord of lords, King of kings. What is that nigga over there listening to? First things first. Adonai, y'all know that. That's Lord. Aleph, Dot, Noon, and Yod. Of course, you know it means my Lord, Lord. Lord of men, Lord of Alahym. Also a title as regards to reverence to Yahuah. It is Aleph, it is Dalet, it is Noon, and it is Yod. Basically, you look at what that is in John 13, he say, you call me your Lord and Master, and you say, right, because I am. And what did he say your Lord and Master do? If your Lord and Master have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. If I had served you, you ought to serve each other. Because we talked about this here, right? Y'all remember when we talked about Amalek a couple years back? What is a king supposed to do?
Serve.
A king is supposed to serve. But in the midst of his serving, he has rulership. And you have authority. See, a lot of people just sit back and look at it, right? There's certain things, it's a certain way that kings act and behave. And truth be told, everybody is not a king. Everybody's not a king because everybody doesn't want to rule. See, if you're going to rule, there's cost to leadership. And that's a cost that everybody don't want to pay. Oh, he over there listening to Earl. It's amazing when niggas got they ready to play your music. That doesn't go to show you don't nobody care about you while you're alive. Not if you're not popping. What y'all got for me? Aleph, Noon, and Yod. If we're gonna take that Aleph, you could take head or you could take strength. You can look at it this way. I know it might seem a little odd to you. You have a strong work. You're going to take that Yod and you're going to take that work. You got a strong work. That strong work being the sacrifice of life. That's why he's able to be a ruler and a Lord over you. That's what makes him a Lord of Lords. That's why? John 15. Oh, that's not it.
What you doing, kid? Fine.
John 15 and 22.
Sit down.
Hey, hush your mouth. Hush your mouth. Hush it up. Keep it on the inside.
Showing all 4 or 5 of your teeth, bro.
Go find your mom.
No, but like real dead hurt by that too.
Because he be want to do what he want to do. And then when he can't do what he want to do, now he want to act like his feelings hurt.
All right, walking.
John 15 and 22. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hate me, hate my Abba also. If I had not done among them the works which no other man had did, they had not had sin. But now they both have seen and hated both me and my Abba. What does this mean? We're looking at a strong work. The strong work of sacrifice has brought forth life, or the strong work is the sacrifice of life. This is how he is able to be your Lord. Come over here. I mentioned John 13. Come over here and look at it. 13 and 12.
13
and 12. John. So after he had washed their feet, he had taken his garments and was set down again. And he said unto them, know you what I have done to you? You call me master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. Now pause. In Ephesians 5, what did Paul write that a woman ought to do towards her husband? Give him reverence as unto the Lord. Now, I'm establishing this here not because of focus on the part of how a woman interacts with her husband, but how men interact with Alahym. He said he is the what? The Lord of Lords. That means of any master you can think of, he is the greater master than them. He said he's the God of gods. So anything that can be called God, he's greater than that. He's the King of kings. Anyone who could be called the king, he is greater than them. And a woman is instructed to respect her husband in that same fashion. But now this is not a knock on women. This is a knock on our society. Our society has taught people to not have that level of reverence for anyone other than themselves. I want you to understand that. That's not a male problem. That's not a female problem. That's a Western culture problem. How many of y'all in this society in your lifetime when you felt like the information that you were being given, and when I say information, no matter where it gleaned from people, from music, from popular media, from movies, from TV, wherever information could be gathered and acquired, where you began to notice that you began to become overwhelmingly selfish. Now, when you notice that you become overwhelmingly selfish, and some people, it's in their nature to be selfish. Some people, it's their environment. But when you're living in a society that is teaching you to be for self and to think only of self and to drift away from self and to have no community and no communal connection to anyone, you begin to only be concerned with what you desire, and that is it. That's why he told you that love seeks not her own. That's why you can't have the love of Alahym in you and be a selfish person. If the first thing that come out of your mouth when you had dealings with somebody is how that dealing can benefit you off the top and not how you can be a benefit to them, you have to reassess yourself. Now, of course, when you talk about an interaction of a man acquiring a wife, yes, he should be looking at this woman to see how she's going to be beneficial to him. That is natural. No different than a woman's going to be looking at this man. How is he going to be beneficial to me? But if the only thought about the way that it can be beneficial to you is through selfish desires, oh, he can buy me this or he can buy me that. You're not looking for someone to be beneficial to you. You're looking for someone to sponsor you. If you're looking at this man's leadership abilities is going to be beneficial to me, his wisdom is going to, now see, these are not things that you're going to learn off the top. These are the things that you're going to learn if you take the risk to actually walk with someone and develop a bond. See, they're not telling people to take the time to develop a bond. They're telling you if you're not being served to walk away. All that does is fracture communities, fracture families, and lead to the brokenness of what you see on the planet at this time. Little Mike, what's up, boy? You all right? You been behaving? You gonna get that one day, son. One day you gonna come in here and you be like, I have been behaving. We got hope for you, son. 13 and 14, John. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I've given you an example that you should do as I've done to you. Truly, truly, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither is he that is sent is greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are you if you do them. I speak not of you all, I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled. He that eat bread with me have lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it come to pass, that when it come to pass, you may believe that I am he. See, let's drop down a little bit. Do I even want to drop down a little bit? No, we don't need to drop down a little bit. When you're looking at that, right, he's talking about his ability to serve these men. And he's instructing these men to serve other people. Now come on back over here, right? To Deuteronomy 10. Let's look at the other word for Lord, which is Adon. Now that is Aleph, Dalet, U, and Nun. And that is a firm, strong Lord or master or a superintendent of a household. Lord of all the earth. Also meaning that the Lord or your husband, Yahuah. But I want you to focus on the aspect of a superintendent of a household. You know what a superintendent is, right? What's a superintendent? Teacher lady. Because you're like, oh, I know what that is. Now, that's in my field. What's a superintendent? That's correct, because you got superintendent on construction sites. They're the overseer. They're the ruler of the house. So not only is he telling, but also notice what it said, right? A firm, strong ruler. Nisha, would you consider your daddy to be a firm, strong ruler?
Yeah, not wise. Firm, strong.
You can't be an unwise, firm, strong ruler.
Yes,
He had potential too late, man. About 50 years old.
Wow.
so, huh?
He over 50.
Oh, yeah, he's strong and firm.
Yeah, but just in his prime, you're right.
At this point, boy, if you ain't picked up being no strong ruler, we don't see that coming down the pipe.
You might read a book.
You feel like your daddy is a firm, strong ruler? I was gonna say that cheese you just gave told the story. What about you? What about you? What about you?
You? He faithful in his duties.
You feel like your daddy is a firm, strong ruler? Based off what?
Based off of the things that he said.
What did he say? Now you being real general now.
I don't know what.
I mean, shoot, you lived with it. So when you say that he was a strong ruler, in what areas was he strong with his rule?
Like discipline.
Clearly, because he definitely told you to get up out of his house. Did you say when you told him you was with him, that man told you to get out of his house? So somebody telling the story. I ain't make that up. That's what I was told from you and the man who Lawrence he came from.
I thought you had to get up. That's what you had to look at.
We ended up leaving because we got pregnant.
No, you didn't, because did he tell you to pack yourself?
No. I packed them myself.
Why?
Because I felt like I should.
You lying. That man said get out.
That never sounds
I know you felt like you should. When he said, I feel like you need to go.
He wasn't making it comfortable.
Yeah, he ain't about pressure, so shoot, you're supposed to go ahead and...
Michael, was your father a firm, strong ruler? What Deidre at? Deidre, is your father a firm, strong ruler? I can't hear.
Yeah.
What made him a firm ruler? No, I heard it. I heard that part. Shoot, I know it was because she said.
anything
Because she said. No, I appreciate it. I know he was a firm ruler. Because many times you can say he done turned around, popped you dead in the mouth. Dude, I wasn't talking to you. Thanks for volunteering. What do y'all think the benefit of being under a firm, strong ruler? What if you hear firm and strong ruler? What comes to your mind?
Discipline.
Discipline.
Structure.
Structure. Let's take a look at something. I think it's Matthew 19. Unbending. I don't care nothing about what you want. Who asked you what you wanted? I'm sorry, it's Luke 19, not Matthew 8. 19 and 12. Well, let me ask you this here, Deidre, how for him being a firm, strong ruler, just give me 2 benefits for you that you feel like benefited you because he was a firm, strong ruler. Yes, that benefited you directly because he was firm and strong in his lead and in his rulership. Give me 2 things that because of that was a positive benefit for you, not just in your childhood, but in your life overall. Say that again. I can't hear you. If it counts for you, baby. That's all you got? Oh. You shouldn't have to think this long about it. I mean, that's not a general question. The reason why I say it's not general because you live with that person. So you have the experience with that person. I can. For those of you who said that your father wasn't a firm, strong leader, what was the detriment to you in regards because of that?
They would slack off.
Let's say the lack of discipline, the lack of guidance. You say no what? See, that's the problem. You have a firm, strong ruler. Those are the things you look at. You tend to be what? When you notice people who've been in the army, you notice the difference of how they behave and conduct themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they have a strong amount of. It depends how long they were in it. You was in the Air Force. You wasn't in the Army. A lot of them, because they were rebellious in the first place when they got there, and they just skated by the skin of their teeth.
I ain't gonna lie, any nigga I know been in any branch of the military for over a year, they more disciplined than the average person. I can say that.
They had no choice but to be. You've been subjected to it for an extended period of time. He gave them structure and did something that they didn't have at their household. For many of them who ain't rebellious, they'll tell you it was greatly beneficial to them in other areas of their life because they had that experience. But you dealing with a firm, strong rulership. You're not coming in here and doing what you want. You're going to fit in or you're going to fit out. I mention these things because Yahuah is a firm, strong ruler. And he has structure, he has order, he has discipline. And you're going to fit in or you're going to fit out. And of course, there's benefit to that. The benefit of being under a firm, strong rule, as you mentioned, is discipline, is structure, it's also clear vision, it's proper guidance. And when I'm talking about proper guidance, the guidance to guide yourself, there's a level of confidence that you're going to have. The firmer and stronger the ruler, the firmer and stronger are his subjects, because the confidence they have in him that's going to relate to the confidence they have in themselves. Because you're going to be confident that you can serve and please your ruler. You're not walking around anxious. What do? I don't know what to do. That's why the book tells you be anxious for nothing. What does it need for you to have anxiety when you know that you have a firm, strong ruler? That means there's clear and concise information. That's why you say my words are plain to those who have understanding. It's clear and concise information. People who come under firm, strong rulership are less doubtful. They're less reckless. And they tend to not make life-altering decisions that are negative, because they tend to be more logical based and reasoning in their decision making. Or, i.e., as the text says, being circumspect. The less firm the ruler, the less strong the ruler, the more hesitant and less confident a person is in their decision making. One of the greatest benefits of having a firm, strong ruler outside of the discipline is the confidence, because confidence relates to decision making. When you don't have great confidence, you make bad decisions, or you question your decision making, and you're not assertive in making a decision and sticking with it. You know what I'm saying? Also, most men are not taught to be that firm, strong ruler, because you're going to be ridiculed for it. And most people are rebellious. Luke 19:12. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive himself a kingdom and to return. Hold on, let me read verse 11 actually. And as they heard these things, he added a spake of parable, because he was near to Jerusalem, and because they thought the dominion of Alahym should immediately appear. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive himself a kingdom and to return. He called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. See, this is the key thing, right? You're dealing with a Lord and a master. We've already seen the strength, what it was, the Aleph, Dalet, Yod, and Nun. We're seeing a strong word. It's the sacrifice of life. And people don't want that work to rule over them, because what did we just read in John 15? If I would have did the work that no other man did, they would have not had sin. This is a strong word, and people did not want the sacrifice of love to have dominion over them. See, when you have Yahuah having dominion over you, you have the sacrifice of love ruling over you. I mean, that's a man who was in subject and obedience and obedience to his father and offered himself out of love to have dominion and authority. See, most people in this world, they scream they want love, but they don't want the obedience that goes along with love to allow love to reign over you. That's why the text say Alahym is love, and whosoever is of Alahym has love in them, because love would have dominion over you, and you would subject yourself to it. Because your Alahym is love, you would subject yourself to his love by obeying him. See, the minute you say submission, rule, control, dominance, power, in this current society, people lose their mind. But at the end of the day, I don't even want to say that. The average woman in this society only wants a man to be dominant over her when they're having sex. Everything outside of that, she wants to dominate. And men are allowing themselves to be dominated. So when this happens, it doesn't lead to firm, strong rulership in communities, which leads to chaos, because men don't want to dominate, i.e. be in a position of power. The only way that you can be a king and rule is you have to be in a position of power. See, Yahushua is able to get in a position of power by allowing himself to become weak, because through that weakness he became strong by offering himself and then being resurrected through the power of Alahym by giving you life through death. And most individuals do not want to subject themselves to that type of power because they're going to have to give themselves up. And this is what your king did, which makes him Lord of Lords, King of Kings, God of gods. There is no God, there is no king, there is no Lord like him. See, when you hear this dynamic of talking about being a king, most people don't want to do this here, right? I seen a dude say this today on a post. I agree with him. When you hear the word refugee, what's the first thing you think of? Do you even know what a refugee is?
Like running from a war or something like that.
Somebody running from a war. So when you hear refugee, what's the first thing you think of? Survivor? Helplessness? This brother said he called him a coward because they said you were running from war instead of standing and fighting. He was talking about the men specifically, not the women and the children. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, boy, that's a harsh assessment. But shoot, could you really argue with it? Because what did you just say? Helplessness. This is somebody who feel like I can't do nothing, so I'll flee.
I thought a refugee was like a prisoner.
Oh, no, that's different. That's just a POW. POW, a prisoner of war, is someone who was actually in a military outfit who was captured during battle.
Like saying you was fighting, you were captured.
You're POW.
Refugee is like, let's say,
us, citizens.
Yeah.
And we fleeing from the war.
I say if America get into a fight with Canada or something, you know what I'm saying? And we don't want the parts of it, so we leave.
And we trying to get into Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which I know that's a harsh assessment, but then as you're looking at it, a refugee is usually a civilian.
Okay. Yeah, that's why.
You know what I'm saying? They're usually a civilian. Refugees are civilians. So it's kind of hard to look at him and say he's a cop. By definition, you can say that you're running from a battle. But at the same token, you're a civilian. That's not what you do. You know what I'm saying? That's not what you do.
That's why I said it.
But see, we look at people, at least I look at somebody who's going to be in when it goes down, someone who's a saint, someone who's a chesed, as he told you, fear not, Satan will take some of you and cast you into prison. You're a prisoner of war. But some people are going to be refugees because they're going to flee. Because they're not going to want to stand up and fight for Yahuah, and they're not going to want to go against the beast, so they'd rather just run. That nigga's a coward. You know what I'm saying? That nigga's a coward. But in technicality, he's really a civilian because you ain't picked a side. You ain't on Satan's side. Well, you is on Satan's side, you just don't know it. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't on Yahuah's side. You know what I'm talking about? But what does it all boil down to? Nobody wants to be under the rulership and obedience of the sacrifice of love, because what did he say? He that loves his life is going to lose it, because people don't want to give anything up.
A person who has a well-founded fear of persecution.
Well, there you have it.
A well-founded fear. Oh, that's a coward. That's a coward. A well-founded fear of persecution. That's a coward. We don't have no well-founded fear and person. You see what I said we're talking about? It's for the word why I gotta call you a coward. Because you running. You running from the beast. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want to get beat. You don't want to get killed. You running. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I got it for you. Revelation 12. 2 minute a number. 2 minute a name. Too light to fight, too thin to win.
Dang.
Revelation 12 and 9.
That's right.
See, the sons of it. Remember, I got to do it now. I got about 3 of them in my head verse-wise. I don't want to do it now. I got time. I got an hour and 40. Shoot it! Michael sitting by looking at it too much for me. I need a hug. Go see your mama. She gonna hug you, baby. I'm just messing with you. It wasn't nothing serious. Your mama still acting crazy. You want us to go lock her up? All right, we go around there hitting the head with a pot and pan. You might put some sense into it. We just ring the doorbell, she come out, bing, and run. Mama was being mean to her. We ain't got no problem doing a pot pie. We can do a pan pie. I'm saying she was being mean to Mike. We ain't got no problem ring the doorbell and nigga pop. Stop being mean to people. Shoot, I'm gonna have a mask on. COVID, man. Revelation 12:9. And this great serpent was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Hashatan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his Malachim were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying, "In Shamahim now has come salvation, strength, and the kingdom of our Alahym, and the power of his anointed one. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Alahym day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." You know, we read last night, he said, if you deny him before men, what he gonna do? That's a coward. That's a coward. Amen, Sharon. That's a coward. A lot of people gonna be scared and they gonna hit it. What did he tell you? Don't fear him who could do what? Kill the body. Man, let me tell you something, man. Sean said when he was about in the 5th grade, he read that the saints would be beheaded. He prepared his mind then to take it. Go ahead and get your head cut off. Well, a lot of people ain't gonna take it now. Cowards. Scared of persecution. What Paul said, don't be ashamed of the prisoner. Be partakers of the sufferings of Mashiach. Because what did Yahushua tell you? If they persecuted me, they're gonna what? Persecute you. If they kill me, they're gonna kill you. He said, but if they hear my word, hear your words, they're gonna hear my words. See, guess what that means? You're gonna know who are Alahym and who ain't. Because if they don't hear, guess what that means? Clearly he ain't a God. Ain't that what he said? He that's a God, hear what? God's words. You hear them not, because you're not a God. Nobody want to hear that. So you can't tell people they not a God. You lying to me, you punk bastard. You see, you's a coward. Little refugee boy. Little refugee boy. Is that not being a coward? By not? Let's just be honest. Let's just take a pause and pause for a minute and think in your brain. Is it not fair to say that the text is very clear that you can make a delineation between who is of Yahuah and who is of Satan? Is it not very clear? What do people in the world like to tell you, even people in the word? Oh, you don't know if he a God or not. You heard it when DMX died. You don't know if he was a Yahuah or not. What nigga, you lying to me? Nigga, his music tell on him, boy. His own word. His own word. Well, he had a prayer. Nigga, sinners pray, nigga. Nigga feel like because you get in front of people and pray and cry, you godly. I know we going to hell. Just as a people as a whole, I'm telling you, who is you praying? And I put it this way, is he accepting it? Nigga pray to Buddha, Scooter, Buddha, everybody. I done watched too many games. The basketball gods, the video game gods, the football gods, the wrestling gods. These people are sick in the brain. And guess what that goes to? He the God of gods. Because there's gods of many, but only one. Ain't that what he told you? That's what he say. Don't go for that crap. And Yahushua told you plainly, you by their fruits you gonna know them. Do you gather thorns or thistles? You putting your hands on him, you getting cut. Why you getting cut? That nigga's gay. He's a fornicator. He's an adulterer. He's an idolater. But you can't tell. Sound like a coward to me. And you know why I say it sound like a coward? Because you're gonna have to make it a direct, plain, and black and white assertion and affirmation of what Yahuwah say is correct, and you very well may be persecuted for it.
But J. Cole got something talking about Nipsey and Pimp C went to heaven at 33.
Oh, that boy dropping masonry. Talking about Nipsey and Pimp C went to heaven at 33. They went to heaven all right. Nigga, Pimp C going to hell.
That's the same age Jesus died.
Pimp C and Nipsey Hussle, boy. Nipsey Hussle they got a nice firm place set right onto the side for him. Because you can't get high and get drunk and tell lies and fornicate and do whatever else you were doing and think because niggas liked your music that he letting you in. Cause guess what? I done told y'all this before. I done had many brews get mad with me. I told them, shoot, Martin Luther King Jr. going to hell. How you gonna say that? What type of work you been doing for the people? If that's your assessment on how you gonna get in, I know you going to. Because work, I put it to you this way. What work did Lazarus do for the community? Our way. What work did Lazarus do? What did he do? Say he was a poor man. Dogs licked his sores, but he getting in. And you think because a nigga whose last name ain't even King, this nigga name ain't Martin Luther, that nigga lying. This nigga had a doctorate at 25 years old. You know how long it take to get a doctorate?
6 minimum.
He had one at 25. He hadn't even been to school that long. That nigga was lying. You know what I'm talking about?
Tight. It's tight. I mean, niggas do it now. That's what I said.
I ain't met nobody with a doctorate at 25 years old.
I ain't
not a doctor.
Then on top of that, you already know this here. Well, but it's in the 50s. Ain't nobody graduate with no bachelor's in the 50s.
I ain't gonna lie, I would probably a better chance. So niggas graduated way earlier back in the day than now.
Oh no, he graduated high school same time in the 1950s, 1980s. There was no acceleration. Or actually in the 30s. Nigga, most people didn't even go to higher education back then.
Oh, that's right.
What is it?
So he died in 1968.
Theology.
It was in theology.
That ain't really. That ain't really.
No, but he's supposed to win and got it from a major.
That ain't no science.
No, he's supposed to got it from a major institution.
That ain't no science, bro.
No, that's why I said minimum 6. Because this is science, it's gonna take 10 years. Theology, you know what I'm saying?
And still get it from, but nevertheless, this man taught idolatry. This man committed adultery, and he died that way. Civil rights work notwithstanding, Yahuah is not going to absolve the fact that you did not believe and obey me. We've already talked about this. Malcolm X literally went overseas and kissed a vagina. When you go kiss that cobblestone, you're kissing a vulva. That man say, by their works, did they work line up with what Yahuah demands? It does not. That's not a personal feeling. Nigga, your grandmammy going, your granddaddy going, if you going, if your life don't line up with it. And see, guess what? When you start making adaptations like that, that's going to cause you to be persecuted. And most people are cowards because they won't do it. Because it's not that you point out people and say, this person going to hell, this person going to hell. You're speaking, and what did he tell you in John 7? We read it last night. He said, the world cannot hate you. It's me it hate. Because I testify of it. That is what? That is works of evil. It's works of evil. It don't matter how much good we do out here in this world, or if your life don't line up with this word, the man's not accepting you. If you don't believe him, he's not accepting you. And you have to have the intestinal and testicular fortitude, more importantly, the spiritual wherewithal to stand up for the righteousness and kadoshness of Alahym and proclaim that regardless of the hurt feelings of men. And most people are not willing to do that. But guess what a king will do? A king is not worried about someone overrunning his dominion because he is going to contain his dominion. And again, I don't have a problem with Malcolm X or Martin Luther King Jr. I don't know those men. But what did our Lord say? He said, by what? Their works you gonna know them. He said, could a good tree bring forth corrupt fruit? Nigga, it's corrupt to worship an idol God, nigga. If you're going over to Mecca to give knowledge to the goddess of Allah, the moon goddess, and kiss a vulva, boy, that's wicked, boy. If you're a married man and you say, I'm only going, because with those vows that people take in them churches, the vow that you take, you saying you only going to be with one woman. Is that not what they have? You swore before God in heaven that that's what you were going to do. And then you went out there and put your penis in another woman. That means you a liar. Because the vow that you made before Alahym, you didn't keep it. And what did he say he going to do to you if you don't keep his vow? You surely going to pay. And you'll pay with your life. If you swear to this man, you're going to do something and then you don't keep it. See, nobody don't want to tell nobody that. Because we looking at stuff based on our standard. Your king is a firm ruler. He has a standard. He's not changing it. Did he change that standard for his own son? So why is he changing it for somebody else? And you got to be man enough to say that. That's why a lot of people not going to get beheaded. That's why a lot of people not going to do it. Because they're not going to stand firm. They're going to be cowards and they're going to run. Come over to Revelation 2 on the house. We got to set that up and show you with your own king. Because did he run? Kings don't run. That's why they need to be talking about Haile Selassie. I didn't screw that nigga. When them doggone Italians came through with Mussolini and overran Ethiopia, that nigga ran to England. He was a refugee, literally. Oh, you looking at me like you didn't know that. You know who Haile Selassie is? Praise the Lord, you don't.
Conquering Lion.
That's who the Rastafarians like to take and substitute for Yahuah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, shoot, sinners get used. I don't know sinners getting used, but what good is it to get used to go to hell later? I'd rather not get used and get in the kingdom than to get used for that's what be made for destruction. Because Yahuah gonna be esteemed in all. Definitely, he used everybody. What did he say? Though hand be in hand, he say, hey, the wicked are prepared for the day of destruction. But more so, I'm looking at the aspect of I don't care what the community work they were doing, but they were teaching people to worship other gods. That's the biggest thing stand out to me. You teaching somebody to give the esteem of Yahuah to another, but that is not acceptable under any circumstance. I don't care what you're doing. But just like what the man said, what good is it to bring forth corrupt fruit? Irregardless of what else you had going on, you brought forth corrupt fruit, which means you couldn't be a good tree. That's what the Lord said. I can't hold no understanding in that. He said a good tree bring forth what? He said a good tree can't bring forth corrupt fruit. And he said a corrupt tree can't bring forth good fruit. So that means, shoot, them sour grapes, them boys were spitting. But you know why we look at it that way? And let's just be honest, we black people, you've been living in the country oppressed for 400 years. You looking at it, they relieve your oppression. But in actuality, when you pause and you look, they did not relieve your oppression. They actually reinforced your oppression, unbeknownst to them. That was not necessarily their intent. See, they reinforced your oppression because it led to your integration, which led to feminism, which led to the separation of your family, which led to the woman saying, I don't need you, which led to the woman becoming masculine, which led to her not getting married, which led to bastard children, which those bastard children are now running the street, committing all manner of crime, and killing one another. That's what it led to. That wasn't their intent. But they were pawns in a master plan that they didn't even know that they were getting pushed on the chessboard. Now, whether those men were part of these elite organizations, that's another conversation. I don't know. I ain't seen no verifiable evidence on that other than Martin Luther King being a member of the Booth because he was in a fraternity. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about the byproduct because they fought for civil rights, right? And when you got civil rights that you could do the way you wanted to do that, drink from the water fountains you wanted to drink at, what ended up happening? You got integrated. And when you got integrated, your marriage rates went down. Your entrepreneurial rates went down.
I think it had to be set up just because when they had the Black Wall Street, how they bombed it. So I feel like there was a plan they were trying to get in motion.
Yeah, all these things went down. Like I said, then feminism arose, free sex era arose, and that led to the decline. Crack came, AIDS came. Like I said, that's not dropping that at these men's feet because that was not their intent. But in doing so, and thinking they were relieving you from oppression, all they did was introduce you to a different type of oppression and violence that was just as, if not more destructive than the oppression that you were seeking to get relieved from. Because Yahuah was going to let you know, no matter what you do, I'm still going to crack your skull because you refuse to obey me. You refuse to submit to me. So therefore, I must punish you 7 times more for your sins. And we don't stop and weigh and consider it. I said, that's not the men's fault. Unless they were active participants in a knowing and willful conspiracy to destroy their own people. And then you have to lay that at their feet. I think Martin Luther King knew what he was doing, and then you realize he made the wrong deal. I think Martin Luther King, I think Malcolm X to a certain extent knew what he was participating in and realized I made the wrong deal. Because Elijah Muhammad was a Mason. That's in his book. That man said, before I was a Muslim, I was a Mason. And he was trained by a Mason. And if you pay attention to Nation Islam teachings, I'm talking about the actual teachings, the English lesson C1 and all that stuff. I done read and studied all that stuff. It's Mason. And guess who kind of sprang up out of that? Yahweh ben Yahweh. And guess what he was? A Mason. You know how we knew Yahweh ben Yahweh was a Mason? Because he opened up all his books with the great architect of the universe. Anytime you see somebody open up with great architect of the universe, that's Masonic talk. That's Masonic talk. Revelation 2 and 9.
You know, you're not taking the chance.
You can sue. You can get verse 8. And unto the Malachim of the house of Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know your works in tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Yahudim and are not, but of the synagogue of Satan. Remember this here, right? What did he tell you about the Yahudim? What does the text tell you about the house of Judah? I'm kind of being, that's this a little too broad. Because we're talking about King of Kings, right? Lord of Lords. So what does the text say about Judah in regards to being King of Kings or Lord of Lords? Not directly with the statement of King of Kings. That one there, but that's not the one I'm looking for. But the scepter would not depart from Judah, meaning rulership or the staff. If you're dealing with staff, you got Chronicles when he say the chief ruler comes from Judah. So that means those who say they are Yahudim, you're saying you are a king. Because that is the tribe of which what kings come from. Now pause, swing to Revelation 5. See, I'm trying to set something up for us to revisit and have a conversation with kings, and I got to take the long way to get there. Because what did he say he would set his king up where? Well, we read in Psalm 2, where he say he set his king up on? Right in Jerusalem, and his set apart hill in Zion, which is hard. And Rosh, you behold the highest. You can only behold the highest in Zion. Well, how you gonna behold the highest? You got to believe on him, have the scripture have said. That's the only way you can see him, because open my eyes to behold wondrous things out of your law, like he did with the blind man. Open the blind man's eyes, and he said, you believe in the Son of God? He said, where is he, Lord, that I might worship him? He said, you done seen him, and now you hear him. And he bowed down and he worshiped him. See, a lot of people sit back and look at you. Ain't supposed to worship Yahuah. You is supposed to give reverence to your king, you dummy. When you hear somebody say that, that's somebody who don't have reverence, honor, and respect for their king. Because you think you taking something away from the Father by giving reverence to your king. That means you ain't got no respect in you. Because guess what? I don't care if you like Donald Trump or you don't like Sleepy Joe. You still, the text tell you you're supposed to give respect to that man if you came across him, because he is considered to be a king or a ruler in the earth. Does the text tell you to disrespect rulers in the earth? Did John the Baptist disrespect the ruler? He just told him it ain't lawful for you to have your sister wife. He checked him, though, like a real brute supposed to. Well, you're living wicked. Did Yahuah disrespect Herod? Did you see any of them boys disrespect Nebuchadnezzar? Did you see Moses disrespect Pharaoh? We're not talking about checking them when checking them needs to be checked if they out of pocket with an action before your face. But did they go in front of these rulers and disrespect them? Because now you're going to be shaming your Alahym because of your lack of respect to think you can just walk around here and say, I ain't got to listen to this cracker. I'll tell this cracker whatever I want. You a wicked bastard if ain't nobody told you. That's not the doctrine of Yahuah. That's not what he teach. I don't care if you don't like Queen Elizabeth. You're supposed to give her your respect when you see her. It doesn't matter if you like them people or not. That's not the point, because Yahuah set them people up. So you give honor to whom honor is due. See, if you couldn't give respect to whom respect is due, you couldn't dare say you a Yahudim. You're lying bastard, you. You see David going around disrespecting other kings? Absolutely not. He ain't disrespect Saul, and Saul was trying to kill him. That's not how that rolls. See, we like to read the text, but we don't like to apply the text when you get in situations. It's the same thing what I mentioned before. You want to be a traditional woman when it suits you, and a modern woman when it suits you. You want to be godly when it suits you, and you want to be a nigga when it suits you. You got to be godly all the time. And what does godly translate to? I said, you got to be faithful all the time. All the time. Not just when it benefits you. Revelation 2 and 10, fear none of those things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Did Yahuah shall get thrown into prison? That you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation of 10 days. What he tell you? Be faithful unto what? And I give you a crown of life. He was faithful unto death. What did he get? Because what do kings have to do? Revelation 5, kings have to endure. Five and 9. And they sung a new song saying, you are worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. You were slain and you redeemed us to our Alahym by your blood out of every kindred, tongue, people, and nation. And you have made us unto our Alahym kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So by the blood of Mashiach, he's going to make you a king. A king has to behave himself a certain way. I put it to you this way. Let me look at Deuteronomy 1 real quick. Come over here to Deuteronomy. What, you want to fight? Oh, okay. You did. Oh, I see you ain't upset no more for getting dunked. Huh? He said, nah. Let me make sure Deuteronomy 1 got what I want. There it is. Deuteronomy 1 and 15. So I took chiefs of your tribes, wise men known, made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, captains over 50s, captains over tens, among officers of your tribe. See, we just came here for captain. You know what the word for captain is, right? That's Sar. That's a prince. That's a ruler. That's a chief. That's a chieftain, a captain, a general, a commander, a head overseer. That's Sean and Raj. You're paired to the highest. So when you look at it, right, isn't Moses looked at to be considered to be a king? And if he is, where does the text support it? Is Moses considered to be a king? And if he is, where does the text support it? Yeah, but that ain't the one that's you're gonna be able to justify him being referred to as a king. We didn't talk about it before. I got to get around here and make sure I remember the right side.
When they asked him, like, who made the king over?
No, he said who commanded made a rule over. Deuteronomy 33 and 1. What I'm mentioning this for is that if there were captains, there were rulers or small kings or princes, because a prince ain't nothing but another word for a ruler, which ain't nothing but another word for a king. They were subject to another king, being Moses. That's who they were subject to. Look, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when you say talk to Yahuah, you gotta talk to Moses.
Mm-hmm. Look at it. Look at old Yahweh Ben Yahweh little boy going live.
That nigga with a big head.
That nigga look like an alien boy.
He sound queer. He look queer. So
I'm trying to find.
If this nigga bald head, bald head. It look like he might have been hung. He living luxury. Yeah, it might have been hung.
What's his name? King Yahuah?
King Yahuah. I done said that to you. 33 and 1. This is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of Alahym, blessed the sons of Yasharal before his death. And he said, Yahuah came from Sinai, and he rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of the faithful. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. Yet he loved the people. All his faithful are in his hand. They sat down at your feet. Every one shall receive of your words. They sat down where? Ain't that what they did in Luke 24? Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob, and he was king in Yeshurun when the heads of the people and the tribes of Yasharal were gathered together.
Here, put that
You
here.
were royal.
Still trying to.
Remember what it said in Hebrews 11? He was faithful in what? All his house, as Moses was. Now I mentioned some things by the king. Come over here to the book of Judges. We'll set this up and Yahuah will slide back around this week. That boy said tonight. Keep it tight. Make it right.
And I was a straight shot, boy. Straight drop, shot off. I would never got that one.
Hang on, Charlie.
Yeah. I heard what you said about what they do.
Give me a second.
I was a clean shot. I was just dead in the street.
Who's you believe? My name is.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it when you said it. That's what you said. I ain't had no clue. I took the book. I got the book.
Hey.
Man, Joe, you always with that rally, Joe. Oh. Yeah, you talking about That's how I know you capping. Now you want to come over here. Don't come over here. Your breath stink. Smell like booty rain. I'm trying to remember what it's at, man. It's skipping my brain. There it is. Come over here to Judges 9. I'll find it in a minute. Come on, Joe. 9:44. And Amalek and the company that was with him rushed forward and stood in the entering of the gate of the city. 2 other companies ran up upon all the people that were in the fields and slew them. Amalek fought against the city all that day. He took the city and slew the people that was therein and beat down the city. Put that down, boy. And sold it with salt. Hold on. What he said, he beat down the city and sold it with what? He said, if you done lost your savor. What good is but fit for the dunghill? And them people right there, he fought against that city. They were fit for the dunghill. And when all the men of the tower of Shechem heard that they entered into the hold of the house of the god Berith, and it was told Amalek and the men of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. Amalek got him up to Mount Salmon. He and all the people that were with him took an axe in his hand and cut down a pole from the trees and took it and laid it on his shoulder and said unto the people that were with him, what you see me do, make haste and do as I've done. What he just told? Take up your stake and follow them. That's what the king did, didn't it? Ain't that what it said in Ezekiel 12? Hold on, let's see what Ezekiel 12 say. We got to come back to Judges 9. Boy. Now you gonna get down. Because see, you being rude and disrespectful, you think you're slick. You got up here to play with stuff. You ain't come over here because you wanted no comfort. You're playing games, boy. Squeeze your cheeks off. Call you fish face.
Berith, a God, a Lord of the covenant.
The Lord of the covenant. They made a covenant with the devil. They made a covenant with death. Let's go in the strongholds of death. See, that's Isaiah 28. Where I'm finna go at? Oh, Ezekiel 12. They done made a stronghold with the devil, Joe. Ezekiel 12. Where's that? Boom, boom, boom. I think I got to start at verse 1. Verse 1. I want to get to the point. I think it mentioned that for the prince. You can pick it up at 12:4. You shall bring forth your stuff by day in their sight. For removing, you shall go forth in the evening in their sight, that they go forth in the captivity, dig you through the wall in their sight and carry thereby. And in their sight you shall bear it upon your shoulders and carry it both in the twilight. You shall cover your face and you shall not see the ground. I've set you a sign under the house of Yasharal. Why am I reading this here, right? Because he said what you seen him do, you do likewise. Because kings carry burdens. Kings got to serve. Kings have to carry the weight of the kingdom on their shoulder. You see, it's something else now. He said, and it's escaping me and it's pissing me off because I can remember the verbiage, but the location is escaping me. Come back to Judges 9. Boy, stop before I put you down. Then you be mad. Spit again, and you're going to get down. Spit again, and you're going to get down. Now, you're going to get up here and sit still, or you're going to get down. You understand me, boy? Yeah, now you don't want to look. Don't look off into the sunset. Be a man about it, son. Stop. You hard-headed. That's your problem. Think don't nothing pertain to you. Now you want to look sad and look off. Your daddy don't care. Ain't that junk escaping me? That junk what it is. I remember it's been a long time since I looked at it. I tell you that. And there it is. Praise the Lamb. Judges chapter 8. Judges chapter 8 and verse 13. That's what I really wanted. I ain't want chapter 9. I wanted chapter 8. 8 and 13. After that, Ecclesiastes chapter 2. And Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from battle before the sun was up. Ain't that what Yahushua did? Return from the battle before the sun was up? And he called a young man of the men of Succoth and inquired of him and described unto him the princes of Succoth and the elders thereof, even 77 men. He came into the men of Succoth and said, behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, with whom did you upbraid me? Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in your hand, that we should give bread unto your men that are weary? And he took the elders of the city and the thorns of the wilderness and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. Hold on now, with the wilderness and the briars. What are briars? Didn't Paul tell you about something with some briars? Y'all remember that? You know, briars is little thorns, little prickly. What he said with the wilderness and the thorns and briars, he taught them. Remember, Paul said, I had a thorn in my side to buffet me. So he's telling you with persecution and wicked people, that's what he's going to teach you with. Oh, no. See, it's been a long time since we've been around this corner. Then he said unto Zebah and Zalmunna, what manner of men were they whom you slew at Tabor? And they answered, as you are. Who was he talking to? Gideon. So were they. Each one resembled the son of a king. Oh, no. Each one resembled the son of a king. Let's look at resemble. That's Toar, shape, form, outline, figure, appearance, Tau, Aleph, and Raj. These are individuals who are the sons of Alahym by covenant. What did we just read over there in Revelation 5? What did we just read in Revelation 5? By his blood, he has made us what? Kings and priests. That means you are bearing the image, because that's what they said to Gideon. Every one of you, every one of them look like how you look. He said, you look like it. Do you realize that's why I tell you, if you see your brother, you're supposed to see Mashiach, because he just told them, Gideon, that you resemble the same person that they resemble. And that's the son of a king. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. And now we talk about a form, an outline, or appearance of a king. We're setting this up because we're going to actually have to isolate the Lord of Lord. When we're looking at the definition of the Lord, we're not talking about bald, because that's just I just not going to take the time to spell out Hebrew words and get caught up in semantics. You got Adonai, you got Adon. See, that's another example of, because all mean husband in certain aspects. When we say call me Beli, and that translates to being a husband. See, we get caught up in words, and then the words are not bearing witness that you're talking about another deity. See, we talking about another deity when you actually serve one, when you actually bow down to one and worship one. Because unfortunately, we have people who say that Yahuah is their deity, but in their heart, they serve an idol God. And that God being the God of their own heart, their own way, and their own desires. We don't like to have that conversation. Because I go back to what I was talking about last night. We like to argue about nothing. And I will not be one to do it. I'm not going to be somebody. You said Jesus, you worshiping Jesus and all that. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. Cause guess what? I ain't gonna win their soul by arguing to them about what name they use. You trying to win a soul? You trying to win an argument? Are you trying to prove your doctrine right? I don't use sign language. I ain't got to prove nothing right. Yahuah already right. It was proven right before I was born. It's gonna be proven right while I'm here, and it's gonna be proven right when I'm gone. That's the attitude we got to have. The word of Yahuah is right. I ain't got to prove nothing. All I got to do is proclaim. When I say I ain't got to prove nothing, I mean I ain't got to go over the top to prove to you just the truth. I can prove to you that what I'm saying is the word of Yahuah. I ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. I ain't finna waste my time. I'm a man. I already know what I'm saying, right? I don't care if you believe it or not, but you've been bad witness against. I can tell you that. Ain't that right, Bird?
All right.
Cause what you is, Bird? What you is, Bird? You're a young man. Young men stand on their principles.
All right.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 9. But for man, Ecclesiastes 2 and 9. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatsoever my eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was the portion of my labor. Then I looked on all my works that my hands had worked, and on the labor that I labored to do. And behold, all was vanity and vexation of Ruach, and there was no profit under the sun. And I turned myself to behold wisdom, madness, and folly. For what can the man do that come after the king, even that which had already been done? Now, number one, this is telling us what? That the sufferings of the king had already been done. Now, we coming in after. We can't do nothing but what he did, which goes back to what we read in Judges 9, which will allow us to resemble the king in Judges 8, which allow us to be kings and priests from his blood in Revelation 5 and Revelation 1, for us to be able to actually have confirmed the outline and the appearance, for us to understand that he is King of Kings, he is Lord of Lords, he is God of gods, or Adonai of Adon, Alahym of Alahyms, Malik of Maliks. There is no one other than Yahuah. So we have to go through all that to establish how he is that, and then to establish these three certain principles that come from that. And here they are. Lord of Lord, King of Kings, same thing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the same thing. That is a ruler. But that last one, he's the God of gods. And that's what you have to understand in this regard. He said, I said you are gods and you are all sons of the Most High. That meaning that you would be sons of his in likeness of his image. And he is over all of you. There's nobody who's going to be a greater judge, a greater ruler, or have dominion than him. Hold on, son. And we're going to look at all of those things because we're talking about being in the resemblance of a king. And this is going us to talking about declare his dominion and his rule. Because remember, always remember Isaiah 52. Declare unto Zion what? Your Alahym reigns. He reigns. I.e., he is a Malik. He has dominion. He has rule. And we need to begin to start training our mind to have the proper reverence, honor, and respect for your king as you're supposed to have. Not looking at him as if he's just some regular person. I'm going to read you some of the information in Deuteronomy 10 before our departure. Right here in that Deuteronomy 10 and 17, he says that Yahuah your Alahym is an Alahym, a Lord of Lords, a great Alahym. Listen what he said, a mighty, a terrible, and he does not regard persons, nor take reward. He executes the judgment of the fatherless and the widow, and love the stranger, and giving them food and raiment. And I want to leave you to think about terrible and mighty. You know that terrible and mighty is Gabora and Yah-Reh. Gabor is forth as being mighty, having strength, or a mighty man. And of course, you know Yah-Reh, that is something to be reverenced, to be afraid of, but most importantly, they have reverence, honor, and respect. At the end of the day, how many of us have actually come into contact with actual royalty? Mostly no one. So we wouldn't even know what it would be like to have that proper level of respect for royalty. Why do you think when they say everybody come and the Yahushua say every tongue gonna confess and every knee gonna do what? Going to bow. Because that's what you do in the presence of royalty. You bow down and give them reverence. When you see people see the queen and all that stuff, you know what the people do. Because that's proper etiquette. See, you know what I'm saying? Most of us look at, I'm not doing all that, this, that, and the third. That's why you never come into the presence of kings.
You know, man, I think Michelle Obama like kind of shake the queen hand or something like that. You know?
Yeah, because she was out of pocket. Because you don't shake the queen hand. And black people over here look at, hey, what's wrong with that? She out of order. What happened? When she went to meet Queen Elizabeth one time, Michelle Obama, she went and tried to shake her hand. And they went off on her about that. That's not, and you know full well them people had told her what the proper etiquette was. But being a modern black woman that she is, she feel like rules, instruction, order don't apply to her. Yeah, that don't apply to her. And guess what? Them people don't care nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I can shake her hand. I'm the first lady. Who is she? Them people don't care nothing about that. Huh?
Oh, you just got him?
No, they did. The officials checked her about that. You know what I'm saying? Queen looked at her like she was crazy. She shook her hand, but she looked at her like she was crazy.
They voted you. They voted you.
Yeah, I'm in here by blood, baby.
I've been ruling alone.
I got divine right. See, that's why people don't like monarchs, because it's divine right, and then turn around and say you love your king Yahushua, the hypocrisy. Because he's king by bloodline. Before the world was. That bloodline. And then you say you a Yahudim, and then you want to run and talk about we kings and queens. You're not a king by product of existing. You're a king through bloodline. You're a king through bloodline. You're not a king because you are a king. That's what they tell me. We were kings and queens. Nigga. You come from a line of farmers, boy.
On the house then.
And ain't nothing wrong with that. You understand that? But to be a king, you got to come through. And then to mention the queen, that junk is irrelevant. Because there ain't no queens. Only way there's a queen because there wasn't no man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody sit back and have no bloodline full of queens. At the end of the day, you're only a king by bloodline. And guess what made you a king? The blood of Mashiach, the blood of the covenant would make you a king. If you don't take part of the blood of the covenant, you're not a part of the bloodline. Oh, no. Why he say to resemble the what? The son of a who? That what it said. And if you resemble the son of the king, how could you be able to join it? This is the blood of the New Testament, which is joined to many for the remission of sin. You're still through the bloodline, even if you wasn't through the natural bloodline. See how Yahuah keep the tradition intact. Intact. Nothing changes. You still can't be a king without no bloodline. You're gonna need the blood of the covenant. And we don't want that. See, we want to be kings on our own terms. You really want to be a self-contained king, which means you want to be your own ruler. And that's why we looked at the situation with Deuteronomy with Moses. Moses was technically king, and he had kings under him. And them men ain't saying, I don't listen to his name. He ain't no rule over me. That's why people won't get nowhere. Because the men don't expect other men to have authority over them, and the women don't respect the men at all. But when you're dealing with a kingdom, men are ruled over by other men. That's the only way a kingdom can function. You can't have a kingdom of satellite despots. That's not going to be able to work. Can't have satellite rulers because you don't have a kingdom. You have a schism because everybody not on the same page. That's what you had, the satellite rulers. Rule over here, rule over here, rule over. Can't be under the same banner. Everybody, because you're going to end up what's in the book of Judges. Everybody going to do what's right in their own eyes. Because when you looked at it, and it's the same thing with the body, as far as apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, evangelists, there are rulers, and there are rulers under those rulers. Everybody has rule, but there's somebody who has authority over them in order to keep the kingdom intact. A kingdom can't be intact when every man is ruling high. Because everybody's not going to rule according to uniform standards. He going to do what's right. See, it's different if you do what's right in your household. It's a different when you got rule, because what you're doing maybe according to your household is still under the rule of that king, which is the word. still under that rule. That's why in a situation like this here, everybody come together. Yeah, you rule in your household, but we all under the rule of the same ruler. When you got people say, I'm going to rule like this, irregardless, this is why Corinthians states that everybody had the what? Same mind, speak the same words, that there don't be no divisions. That's why he say a kingdom divided against itself can't what? That's why people can't stand right now. Because you divided against one another. But you're not divided against one another based off the things that people say that we're divided against. We're divided because you have no culture, you have no order, you have no structure, you have no discipline, and no one has a desire to follow anyone. Which is also the negativity to an extent of telling everybody to be a leader and not a follower, because everybody's not a leader. And when I say everybody's not a leader, meaning everybody doesn't want the responsibility of leadership. Everybody's not willing to pay the cost to be a leader, because being a leader is more than telling people what to do. It's a very heavy burden and responsibility. And if you're going to resemble the son of a king, you would need to understand that. But hallelujah for Yahuah trying to work, man. We got to get out of here. I bless y'all the house of Alahym in the name of Yahuah. Appreciate y'all time. Just weigh and consider, man. I know I can say some harsh things. I also ask certain things just for you to pause and consider, because regardless if you can realize it or not, the scenarios that I mentioned are how people view Yahuah. It's not necessarily in regards to just looking at men and women in the literal sense in that particular scenario. It's about looking at how those things juxtapose to Yahuah. And that's really why I want your mind to go at, like, to Yahuah. Because how people treat each other is how people feel about Yahuah. And his word is clear that he does that for those who have wisdom and understanding. They can see that. Those who don't think it's just conversation. Shalom, bro. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand. If you got wisdom, you can see that the world is in a bad place. It's in a very bad place. And it's not just in a bad place just for no reason. It's in a bad place because of the hearts of people. It's just a replay of Genesis. The heart of man is corrupt continually, and they're corrupting the way of Yahuah on the earth. And we say we the protectors of righteousness, and we looking at it and cheering it on, being indifferent or just totally oblivious. And that can't be acceptable. But again, blessings out the house of Alahym in the name of Yahuah. I appreciate y'all who are willing to the next one. Yeah, that's what's going on.